Hey guys, it's finally here. We announced the exciting new addition to our Nouveau Valentine's Day Massacre at Fountain Square Brewery on February 7th. First, the event starts at 6, and we will have vendors set up and ready to go. And then at 7, we'll have Pumpkin Cup Horror Trivia. 9 o'clock, we'll have Burlesque. And at 10 o'clock, we are going to have I Got Worms. So come on out, catch the show, catch the Burlesque show, do a little shopping, find something spooky for your special someone, and maybe enter a raffle, get you a drink, and come be part of the fun. Sponsored by Cinema Scares, Terror in the Isles, Mr. Dabs, the Skyline Drive-In, and of course, Nouveau. We'll see you there. So usually we just start, do you want to introduce yourself and tell everybody about your event that's coming up at Gamebridge Fieldhouse?
Yeah, so my name's Sebastian Maniscalco, coming to Gamebridge Fieldhouse and looking forward to bringing the It Ain't Right tour. This has got to be my 70th show on this tour, so it's been a long run, but been having more fun now than I ever had on any tour, just because I'm traveling with a great group of people. The two guys I got opening up for me, Pete Corielli, who I do a podcast with, the Pete and Sebastian Show, and Pat McGann, who's a Chicago guy I've known for north of 10 years. And from soup to nuts, I think this is really a great night of comedy. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
That's awesome. And you said 70, this will be your 70?
Yeah, there's 94 shows on the tour. I think this is probably around the 70th show. So it's
How
been
many cities?
been a lot. Yeah, we've been going to a lot of different cool cities and kind of immersing ourselves in the city, which generally speaking I haven't done in the past. I basically got to a city, hibernated in the room, go do the show, go to the next city. But you know, this tour, we're kind of enjoying the local fare. If there's a restaurant that we need to hit, we'll hit it. So yeah, it's really enjoying it.
Have you been to Indy before?
Yeah, we've been to Indianapolis several times. I did a show called the Vince Vaughn Wild West Comedy Show. This was in 2000. God, I think it was 3, 4, and we ripped through Indianapolis, and then subsequently done a couple theaters there. Never did a comedy club in Indianapolis for whatever the reason, but yeah, I mean, Midwest. I'm from Chicago. People in Indianapolis get the humor. They're, you know, I like coming to the Midwest. They have like a sarcasm there that you don't really find anywhere else in the country, and they just get comedy. You know, they're not too serious.
Yeah, we're the oak people. That's great. So have you already figured out where you're going to visit when you come?
No, I'm looking for some recommendations. I mean, not only food, but like, for example, we went to Norfolk, Virginia. I'd never been there before. We went on the naval ship and took a tour of the naval ship. So it doesn't have to be food related. If it's something in Indianapolis that I need to see,
Yeah.
I would love some
What
of that.
day do you get in town?
I have no idea. It's probably the day of the show. So we probably have a few hours to kill if there's
That is
any.
yeah, the 16th is, what is that, a Sunday now this year? I want to say, yeah, the 16th is a Sunday.
People go out on Sunday in Indianapolis?
I mean, I do know one girl that throws shows. She's a bartender at this little place called the Colonial, and she does Katie's Sunday Service. She does that.
Oh
She
yeah,
writes for Nouveau too, so that's how I know her. She's a bud of mine. That's kind of cool. But also, restaurants are always open. I don't know. Sunday's a kind of a drag day, though. I think, not a lot going on.
well, it's all the reason more to come to the show.
Yeah, for sure. That's Oh. Let's see. I wrote down that I wanted to ask you what it was that inspired you. Like, do you remember the moment that you had that like spark or that like realization that like comedy was your life?
Yeah, it happened young. I was always immersed in stand-up comedy at a young age. I used to watch the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson with my father. Eddie Murphy was big when I was growing up, so that was an inspiration. Jerry Seinfeld, George Carlin, Don Rickles, Brian Regan. So always loved stand-up, so much so that I told my second grade teacher that I wanted to be a stand-up comedian, which basically shocked her because every other kid wanted to be a fireman or a policeman, and here I come in with stand-up comedy. So I knew very, very young. Also, just growing up in a funny family, sharing stories around the kitchen table with my father and my sister and my mother, making them laugh. And my dad was a hairstylist, and he'd come home and talk about stories from the salon. So we always had like this knack for making each other laugh, and and very expressive and physical too, which I really enjoy doing up on stage. I like being a physical comedian, not only kind of telling you the jokes verbally, but kind of showing you physically what I'm talking about. I found
Yeah.
that it's just fun. It's fun to do.
Do you feel like there's just a little something more to adding that element of physical comedy to your show, or do you feel like you could do it without that?
It's difficult, it's funny. I was watching one of my specials the other day for a project that I'm doing, and I hadn't watched it in 9 years, and it came up in the room that if you were listening to this and not seeing it, would it be as funny as seeing it? And the answer is it's still funny, but the physicality definitely adds another dimension to the material that enhances it. So yeah, I mean, what I am saying I think is funny, but I just think watching it is much better than listening to it.
Yeah. So if someone were to have never seen any of your shows or somehow managed to never catch you on TV, or how would you describe your comedy to them? Like if they wanted to come to a show.
Yeah, so it's very relatable, very observational. I don't sit in a room and write jokes. I extract material from my everyday experiences, whether it's taking my kids to an event at the school, or a dinner party that we went to, or my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my father. Nothing's really made up. It's real, it's honest, and very broad, and clean. It's like you could bring your 10-year-old kid to the show and your 70-year-old grandmother, and nobody's uncomfortable with the material. It's not really blue or derogatory material. Sometimes you're a comedian, you're like, oh God, my mother wouldn't like this guy because he talks about X, Y, and Z. But for me, it's just, you know, going to right now I'm 51 years old. I'm talking about my ailments and my health. Like I'm not the guy I
Sure.
was when I was 20. So, it's things that people are going through in their everyday life.
Yeah, relatable. I think that's like the best place to find comedy, right? Is when you can like make someone go, "Oh, yeah, that really does happen," or that
Yeah,
makes
no,
me
I,
happen.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you feel like when you did, because I know you worked with Comedy Central and they were kind of more like adult based usually. Do you feel like there was ever a pressure to maybe be a little more dirty in your humor or to take it up a notch?
No, no, it's not what I enjoy listening to myself, and I don't really find a lot of that stuff funny for me. Kind of what I find funny is just everyday occurrences. So I generally kind of keep it light and keep it PG-13. I mean, there's comedians that are dirty, that that works for them, but it just never really fell in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It was just something I was curious about because I know it seems to be that there are a lot of networks or shows that are basically based towards that like idea of like, oh, this is for adults, and so like Showtime and yeah. But you've also been in a lot of other things too, right?
Yeah, right now there's a show on Max called Bookie, where I play a bookie in Los Angeles, and it's a comedy. It's developed by Chuck Lorre, who is creator of Two and a Half Men and Big Bang Theory. So working with him on this project's been absolutely a ball. I love doing stand up, but I was also looking for an outlet in the TV space to kind of showcase my comedic abilities, and this definitely is right in my wheelhouse. So we've been having a blast doing 2 seasons, 8 episodes a season. So there's 16 episodes people could check out. It's a quick watch. It's 21, 22 minutes long. You could burn through the whole thing in half a day. So it's great, and hopefully we'll do another season.
That's awesome. It sounds like a good binge. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
What of all the things that you've done, well, because I know I didn't ask you about this part yet, but what of all the things that you have done have been your favorite?
I think some of the things that I really enjoyed in my career were doing Madison Square Garden. That wasn't really something that I've ever dreamed that would happen, but uh, I've done 10 shows there now, and it's been absolutely a blast. Sharing that this last time with my family. I brought my wife and my 2 kids up on stage and shared a memorable moment with them. Doing a movie with Robert De Niro is a highlight of my career. It's a movie called About My Father, where it was loosely based on my life, and working with him, and working with him also on The Irishman, which was a movie that was a gangster movie on Netflix and directed by Scorsese, starring Pesci, Pacino, and De Niro, the guys I had on my poster on my wall growing up. And next thing you know, I'm working with them in a movie. It was sensational. So yeah, there's just a lot of moments in my career you got to kind of stop and kind of pinch yourself, going, "Is this really happening to me?" I mean, I hosted the MTV Video Music Awards one year. I think it was in 2019, which I grew up watching MTV and the music awards, and here I am hosting it. So there's just a lot of special moments for me.
Yeah, a lot of full circle moments for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I know I sat in on the Macaulay Culkin showing of Home Alone recently, and he
Uh,
told us some pretty cool Joe Pesci stories. Do you have any fun Joe Pesci stories? Because I kind of adore those now.
I work with Joe Pesci, and I had one scene with him, and he was very, very, very sweet. He actually called me in his trailer after the scene, and very, very complimentary towards me. And I didn't hang out with him a lot. He's like an intimidating guy. If you don't know him, it's kind of, he's Joe Pesci. He's he's a hard shell to crack, but I definitely saw a softer side to him on the filming of Irishman, and then subsequently we went out a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, played a round of golf together, and he's a funny guy. So yeah, I don't really have like a groundbreaking story to share with, but
No, that's still really cool though. It's funny because a lot of people say like that once they get to know him, he's just a really sweet guy, but he is very intimidating. I would imagine that would be. How could it not be intimidating?
yeah.
Freaking Joe Pesci. That's awesome. Let's see. You also wrote a book, right?
I did. My book is kind of a culmination of the last 20 years of my career. It's called Stay Hungry. It's kind of focuses on kind of never giving up and always wanting to, succeed and do your best. And it kind of chronicles my life from, 98 to 2019, and everything that I endured in my career, kind of history about my family and how I grew up, and moving out to Los Angeles in 1998, waiting tables at the Four Seasons Hotel for 7 years while I was establishing myself as a comedian. And you know nowadays sometimes people want things to be either given to them or not working hard to get to where you need to go. And this book kind of chronicles the struggles and the ups and the downs of someone's career, and trying to get to the top. But it's a book about perseverance and being patient and waiting your turn. When I moved out here, people go, "Oh, did you give yourself a time limit of how long you were gonna last to make it happen?" And I'm like, no, it was either comedy or bust for me. If I gave myself, say, I'm gonna do this for 5 years, and if nothing happens, I'm gonna go back home, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. So if anybody's out there trying to pursue their dream, my suggestion to them is You know, if you work hard and you have the talent, you want to cultivate it, you know, your time will come. You can't compare yourself to anybody else. Andrew Dice Clay told me, you know, you're going to look around and you're going to see people who are getting stuff before you. They're getting a TV show, a film, or their career is taking off. You can't really focus on that. The only thing you can focus on is yourself and writing material and being the best you could be. So that's my advice to people.
That's awesome. You beat me to my question. And the other one that I usually ask about, cool advice that you've gotten. Do you think
Yeah.
that's the best piece of advice that you've probably received over your career?
Well, at the time it was because sometimes you get discouraged
Sure.
because you're like, when how come it's not happening to me? When's my turn? When am I gonna get my break? And you know, you could focus too much on that and lose the eye on the prize. So what you need to do is just focus on what you have control over. I have control over my material and being the best comedian I can. Now, if you continue to do that, you know, someone will see you or you'll get a break, and you got to be prepared to kind of jump through that hoop. And I was fortunate enough to put the work in. So when the time came to rise to the occasion, I was there and I was ready for it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think that also goes back to, like, that's why they say do what you love, right? So that way when you're having all those years of not getting paid for it, at least you're, doing something that you love and not something that
Yeah,
you hate. Yeah,
I
that's
agree.
awesome. I think the only last thing that I had written down to ask you was if someone didn't know anything about you, or even someone did and your career ended tomorrow, what would you want someone to say?
Well, you know, obviously we're talking about career and entertainment and stand-up comedy, acting and whatnot.
Right.
But
On
what
that
I,
side, yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, what I value most is like being a family guy, being a father. I got two young kids, so that to me is before anything else. I think I would. My goal right now is to be the best dad I could possibly be to my kids. So,
Awesome.
but talking professionally, you know, for me, it's just always been making people laugh, putting a smile on their face, and especially nowadays, people I think need laughter more than they ever did. Whatever they're going through in their life, whether it be a death in the family, lost the job. I'm living in Los Angeles. People with the fires lost their home. You know, it's just a tough. It's tough for people. So yeah, I I would love to be remembered as a guy who made people laugh.
Awesome. I like that. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. And I'm really excited to catch you at Gamebridge on the 16th of February, which is a
You
Sunday,
got it.
but it's going
Yeah.
to give us something to do on Sunday. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your audience with me, and I'll see you the 16th.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks.